and get the show on the road. Welcome, everybody, and let's have a great time.
Okay, we're up.
All right, hello everyone. Welcome to the National Student Data Corps Data Science Career Panel Series for our February 2022 edition. Today you'll be hearing from three amazing panelists discuss their data science career journey, and you'll also be able to have some insights and more advice on to how you can start and jumpstart your data science career journey. So we will get started in about, actually it is at the top of the hour, so we'll get started right now. Let me just go to this next slide. So yeah, if you came here for the NSDC Data Science Career Panel, you're in the right place. My name is Haley. I am a student assistant of the Northeast Big Data Innovation Hub and project coordinator of the National Student Data Corps. My co-moderator today is Benji, who is also a student assistant at the Hub. And today we will hear from three amazing panelists about their data science journeys as it pertains to their career and other endeavors. So we'll hear from Ashwin Venkatraman, Atena Sadeghi, and Logan Havern. And I just want to note that this panel is especially special because it marks our 1-year anniversary of the Data Science Career Panel series. Our very first panel was February 19th, 2021 to be exact. And it's just amazing to see how this initiative has grown and expanded, not only on a global platform, but also to so many attendees and through so many disciplines. And we're just really grateful to see the amount of panelists that have come on to this panel to share their insights and really reach a broader community as to data science fundamentals and helping students and learners of all ages and backgrounds kind of leverage data science in their own personal journeys. So just a run through of today's agenda. First, I'll be giving a brief overview of the National Student Data Corps, who we are, what we do. We'll get right into the panel discussion, which will be moderated by Benji. So Benji will be posing questions to the three panelists. And then we'll learn more about NSDC resources and opportunities that you can find online through our website. This includes learner, educator, and career development resources. We'll also learn more about the different initiatives under the NSDC, like the Chapters program, and our newest initiative, the NSDC Inaugural Data Science Symposium, which is super exciting. And then following that, we'll have an open Q&A where you all, the attendees, are able to share your questions and pose your questions to the panelists in an open forum. So first, I want to start off by welcoming our newest team member, Emily Rothenberg, who is the NSDC Program Coordinator. Emily, would you like to share a few words?
Yes, thank you, Haley. Hi, everyone. My name is Emily. And as Haley said, I am the new Program Coordinator for the National Student Data Corps. I'm very passionate about data science and education, so I'm very excited to be here. And I am looking forward to leading the Data Science Career Panel Series, the NSDC Chapter Program, Mentoring Program, and the newly launched Data Science Symposium. So thank you for the introduction, Haley, and I will let you all know more about our upcoming events before the Q&A session at the end of the webinar.
Thanks, Emily. And Emily actually started a few months ago, but she's already such an invaluable team member. She's made amazing strides with all the initiatives under the NSDC and has really expanded, our mission, our growth, our initiatives. So thank you, Emily, for all the work you do. And we're really excited to have you on the team and be kind of the glue to the NSDC.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Okay, so a little bit more about where the NSDC stemmed from. If we consider the NSDC as our baby, the Northeast Big Data Innovation Hub is the parent. So the NSDC is led by the Northeast Big Data Innovation Hub. And through the hub, we have 4 focus areas. So we have education, data literacy, health, urban to rural communities, and responsible data science, security, privacy, and ethics. And so the NSDC is kind of our premier program in the hub's education and data literacy focus area. Just the mission of the hub is to leverage its role as a community convener and create a network of collaboration to fuel data science innovation through diverse and inclusive partnerships, whether that's K through 12, academia, industry, nonprofit, you name it, and just really work through the NSCC to increase data science capacity and talent with a focus on underserved communities. So if you want to learn more about the missions and the initiatives of the hub, you can go to this website link that's commented below, which is nebigdatahub.org/about. And so now the National Student Data Corps, like I said, it is the premier program under the Education Data Literacy focus area of the hub. We are a community developed initiative that provides resources and opportunities for students to learn data science with a special focus on those underserved institutions, students, and communities. So the NSCC has really grown tremendously to around 2,000 members since the launching in February 2021. Again, it's our birthday. And the faces that you see below kind of are like the testament of, the initiative and the reasoning behind the National Student Data Corps. We really are the breadth of, we value the breadth of our community. And so these faces below kind of constitute three main teams that create the NSCC Founding Committee, which leads the efforts of all the NSCC initiatives. So that's the content and pedagogy team, the peer instructor and mentoring team, and the outreach team, which is especially responsible for events like the panel series. So yeah, we just want to thank all these members for creating, kind of pioneering this community developed initiative. And if you want to learn more about the NSCC in particular, you can research this link below. And now I will pass the virtual mic off to Emily, who will share more about our community growth and our globalization through our numbers.
Yes, so I would like to announce that the NSDC is now the National Student Data Corps with an international reach, with almost 2,000 members since starting from zero in February 2021. Like Haley said, tomorrow is actually our 1-year birthday, and we have grown so much in that 1 year. Our members now span the United States and 16 additional countries, as you can see here on the global map, including Nigeria, Ethiopia, Ecuador, Turkey, Germany, the Philippines, and more. So please just feel welcome to share the NSDC with friends and colleagues around the world. Everyone is always welcome to join.
Thanks, Emily. And now we will kick off with the panel event where Benji will be moderating and posing questions to the panelists. So today we have Ashwin Venkatraman, who is a CEO and founder of Resermine Incorporated. We have Atena Sadeghi, who is senior manager and data scientist at Accenture Artificial Intelligence. And then we have Logan Havern, who is the CEO and founder of Datalogz. So with further ado, I will pass the virtual mic off to Benji, who will be moderating this panel discussion.
Thank you all for joining us today. Once again, my name is Benji, and I'll be the co-coordinator today. So jumping into the questions we have for today, each panelist would have 3 minutes each for this question. And the order would be Ashwin, Logan, then Atena. So our first question for today is we want our panelists to tell us about their data science journey and what excites them most about data science.
This is Ashwin. Again, thanks, Benji, for your question. Appreciate the NSDC for this opportunity to share our journey. As a background, I'm an engineer by background, worked in the oil and gas industry for over 15 years. As an engineer, you always deal with data. So, have been doing that and was also in academia for a while where we did develop new modeling tools. Essentially, unfortunately, when we were working back in the industry, we used data only one way, which is essentially what are referred to as forward models. And then in the last few years, of course, there has been a lot of advances in analytics, in machine learning, where we saw an opportunity to essentially, bridge that gap, if you will. So use the same data, but perhaps in a different way. So in summary, what we ended up doing is set up a company. Our goal is essentially use the data, which can help drive decision making for oil and gas industry. So that's primarily my background, and that's primarily the domain area that we worked in. So in certain sense, we are helping companies utilize a lot of their data, use of advanced tools, and helping them drive and essentially automate decision making. What really excites me about data science in general, or the opportunities or the new age modeling that we are introducing, is essentially a change in paradigm where we are bringing these new tools, we are helping drive decision making, and this is really giving us an opportunity to create a much more lasting impact. Just to take a leaf from my career, I've been in the industry. I was in academia, publishing papers and being a professor. But the ability to actually build something and have many people use it is what motivates me in that respect. So that's my story.
Thank you, Ashwin. So the next would be Logan.
Awesome. Thank you all very much for having me today. I'm really excited to be a part of the panel. And then to just give a quick background of myself. So I studied industrial engineering at Texas A&M. While studying there, I started kind of my first exposure to data in a co-op program at JetBlue. So that's I think the 4th or 5th largest airline in the US, and I was put on an industrial engineering team there. But very quickly, all of my projects became data focused. So I ended up completing 3 co-ops at JetBlue. I got some exposure to data engineering, data science, and all different sides of data there. Probably my coolest and most exciting project was working on a model to predict flight delays in real time. So things like if the fueling truck is late on the plane, or the catering truck, or if there's a delay at the boarding gate, how can we use that data to try to mitigate delays in real time? And then while working at JetBlue, one of the biggest challenges that I saw in my job was data discovery. So for every new data project I got at JetBlue, I'd have to go talk to an IT team, ask around different people to ultimately find, hey, where does this data exist? How do I get access? What is the context behind this? So this is kind of a problem that I was really seeing at JetBlue. And then when COVID hit, travel industry declined for quite a bit of time. So JetBlue ended up having to cut back on all employees' hours. So I was basically had a lot of free time on my hand for quite a few months. So at first I was kind of playing video games and doing things that were unproductive, but eventually I decided I can use this time better. So I decided to set out and try to solve that problem that I was seeing at JetBlue. So I built the first version myself of what is now Datalogz, just kind of hacking it together with different no code and low code platforms available online that are free to use. And then I ended up trying it out for my team at JetBlue, and then also putting it online. And it grew to about 300 users in just a few weeks. And with that momentum, we were able to raise a little bit of small angel investment funding to build out an enterprise version. And we've been working on that the last 8 months and really scaling our team, our platform, and going live with some large consulting firms, as well as different financial institutions, some airlines, and growing and expanding our company. And that's the quick background of kind of my journey from industrial engineer into data and now into entrepreneurship and the problem we're solving. And then in terms of data, what I'm most excited about, I really like seeing applications that are usable in everyday life. So maybe that is fitness tracking. So for instance, I got this new Whoop watch that tells me when to sleep, when to wake up, and different things. And it's all database. So seeing those statistics in real life. Another one's simple, just like Netflix recommendations. It always knows what show I want to watch. So I'm really excited in the next few years to see these different use cases of data apply to everyday life. And then the second piece is just really as data and the amount of data continues to grow, there's also so many tools being developed to make it easier to work with. So I'm really excited as more people break into the data space to see kind of the innovation that's yet to come. So I think that answers the questions, Benji, and thanks again for having me here today.
All right, thank you so much for sharing too as well. So would pass it on to Atena.
Thank you, Benji. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me here. I'm so excited to share about and talk about my experience in a data science field with the students and those who are really interested in starting their journey in the data science field, which is so vast. I started my work by teaching at university. I majored in applied mathematics and to be specified in numerical analysis, which you basically deal with a lot of matrix calculation and computation matrix. Then I used to teach for a while at university level, then I got bored and I thought that I need something to do with my life, which is like more exciting and it's more like technology relevant. Then I joined JP Morgan Trading Technology to understand what's going on in the data field and how can we utilize all of this technology to make people's life easier. My personality is in a way that I don't like repetitive tasks. I don't like tedious work. So like I started my journey in data science field with a lot of automation. And well, I was in finance, automation was a thing, so it worked quite well. Then I continued my journey by studying more in the field, going through the boot camp to boost my knowledge in more relevant area in machine learning. And then I continued all the way to AI, add AI, to build lots of predictive algorithm and modeling. And then I joined eventually Accenture, Applied Intelligence, and were like consulting firm. So the current situation, like at consulting firm, is I think is matched with my personality. Don't like to be bored, like challenging new technology all the time, new project. I don't want to get stuck in one project. So consulting firm provides me that. So the moment you are done, the new project will be there. And like we are working with almost all the companies in US and Europe and all over the world. So it's easier for me to pick and choose which area of data science I want to be. As I said earlier, it's a very, very, very big area from NLP, all the like robotic automation, from like a lot of image recognition, from a lot of predictive models. You can do anything, pretty much anything you want in that. And like anything is based on technology and cloud. So you won't get bored, I guess. Then what makes me excited about data science is that, like personality-wise speaking, I like to be in a field that I have the option to learn about new stuff all the time. I think data science provide that because it changes every day, almost. And anytime you go online, and you will find some people who are contributing new algorithm, new techniques to like Anaconda version, or they are open sourcing their new technology. And everybody around the world can use it. So that's something which really makes me excited about being in the field of data science.
All right. Thank you all thank you to all the panelists for sharing with us their journeys and their excitement about data science. So moving on to our next question, and the panelists would have about four minutes each for each question, for this question. Sorry. So you all have worked in a range of different fields and environment in data science, from startups to large companies. So Ashwin and Logan, you both have created startups after working in very large corporations. And how did you come up with your idea for a startup? What is it like starting up a business within data science? So we will begin with Logan.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, that's a really good question. So I think the first piece of your question around how did I get started, it was basically just seeing a problem firsthand at JetBlue. So in my everyday job, I was had a challenge with this, was spending a lot of time on data discovery. And it was basically inhibiting me from meeting different deadlines. And this challenge is what really motivated me to get started. And then I think for entrepreneurship, probably one of the most challenging things is really just taking the first initial step to actually do something outside your normal job, your education, what you're studying. I think the hardest part is really just getting started. So I originally built the first platform using what's called Bubble. So Bubble is a no-code drag and drop development platform. So you don't need any software engineering skills. It's as easy as working in Excel, where you can build different applications. So I think just really identifying any problem in either your work or everyday life is kind of the motivation that you need. And then I think the first step is really just getting started. So building anything you can. And then after that, my advice would kind of be just to talk to as many people as possible. So I started just messaging data leaders like Ashwin on LinkedIn and saying like, hey, I built this platform. Can I solve some problems in your life? Can you check it out? Can you share feedback? And then as I slowed up, I started building this network in the data space, where I went from talking to different data managers to heads of data science at massive companies and all across the board. So really just focusing on building that network, which has been a great experience so far. And then I'd say the startup day-to-day life kind of in these early phases, I really enjoy because you get to do so many different things and wear different hats. So sometimes I'm consulting and helping companies plan out their data strategy. Sometimes I'm working and trying to build the product with my team. Other times I'm selling or raising fundraising, meeting with VCs. And I think right now, with so much more increase in volume of data going on, and just overall kind of democratization of it, there's a lot of opportunities and inefficiencies in the data space. So as you start working and identifying problems, I would encourage everyone just to start some sort of journal or writing them down and kind of see, okay, are my friends having this problem? Are other people I know having this problem? If that is, that's enough motivation to get started. So yeah, that's kind of my 2 cents on the journey and kind of the challenges of what I've seen in the space. And I'd encourage anyone to just go out there and get started is the first step.
Thank you, Logan. So we would pass it on to Ashwin.
Thanks, Benji. And I agree with Logan on getting started. I think, that's where a lot of us kind of face those hindrances. Of course, I came on to, essentially creating a company and then essentially entrepreneurship at a much later stage. I was with Shell, which is a large oil and gas company for over 15 years. So, having been a user or rather, an engineer dealing with data in a specific way, I was also a researcher, as a faculty, essentially driving next generation modeling using data, if you will, in a specific way. And then here comes this whole explosion of tools, right? I mean, we all are well aware of how, you could use essentially a lot of these algorithms which are open source, try different things. So it all started with actually trying out a few things and then also noticing some trends that were happening, at least within my industry. So what was happening was these large companies were, cutting down on their research. Academia was not necessarily in sync with some of the work that was being done. So we saw this opportunity to bridge this gap between the innovation and decision making, and doing that through building a set of tools which can help drive decision making much quickly, because that is what the industry wanted. So essentially, in summary, what started off as initial exploration quickly led to some ideas around how to structure a product. And then we went about saying that, if we had built this product, who would really buy this, right? I mean, because what we were doing was something really new. Like Logan, we went around, essentially asking company, if they'd be interested in something that we had built or were in the process of building. So one thing led to the other. The first customer is always difficult. And then when you have delivered something for them, then you start realizing that maybe you have something in the hand that people find interesting, and thus began our entrepreneurship journey. And of course, that's a different challenge in itself. Building teams, raising funds, essentially handling multiple things. So here I was thrown from being a researcher, was much comfortable dealing with differential equations and the likes, to negotiating contracts. So that was a huge learning experience for me, but one that I really enjoyed in some sense. And I guess, the whole point that I would like to communicate is it's all about getting started. And it doesn't matter at which stage of the ladder you are. It's more about recognizing the opportunity, especially if you are not necessarily from the computer science domain. There are other traditional industries where there are a lot of opportunities to automate, to drive new types of modeling, which can really drive decision making, and which can be really helpful in ushering us to this new technological age. So, that's my 2 cents on this.
All right, Ashwin, thank you very much for sharing that and your advice as well for anyone interested in the field. So moving on to our next question. This is for Atena. So Atena, you are currently working in a different data science environment. So what influenced the decision to become a data scientist at a large corporation like Accenture? And also, what is it like to work in that type of corporate environment in your role?
it's when it comes to the bigger companies, like challenges are different, and like I think that the type of company actually matters. Sometimes you're working for like finance companies, your algorithm and your like the data you're utilizing is different. Some other times you're working for product owner companies, equally big, but the type of the question you're getting day to day is a lot different. But when it comes to the consulting firm and like as huge as Accenture, the variety is a lot, and at the same time the project you are trying to solve is more at enterprise levels, like questions. So what I mean by that is that, yeah, a lot of questions come to you as like, okay, business have some sort of like automation process. They want like some document to be processed. Let's say that like one of these companies, which is really specialized in solar cell, they're coming to us, they want to know how can they automate the whole process of ordering like solar panels for the houses. And they don't want to touch anything in their website, and they want to know if they receive the images from the like roof, or they match from the receiving the image from the customer all the way to the end, can they automate the whole process or not? So in those cases, we are not addressing only one part of the business questions. We are addressing a business which is going to solve an enterprise level solution. And by that I mean like it comes from gathering all the data at different level of the organization, bring it on the, like in one centralized platform, like cloud platform most of the time, making sure that all the data from the like in the house is clear. The design is ready to be utilized for ML algorithms. Then it comes to AI piece, and then it goes to the AI adoption piece. So the whole like process will be done in our side. And I think the project we are solving are way much bigger than like smaller companies or even like product owner companies, because we are addressing business questions which are at enterprise level. So it's way much bigger, a lot of time, way much more harder.
Thank you, Atena, for sharing as well. So moving on to our next question, which is quite a popular question, and since all of you are in very different fields, makes it even more important. So the question is, each panelist would have this question would be for Ashwin and Logan, and each of you would have about 2 minutes each. So what are the most common software tools you use in your roles? Which coding languages and software tools should one prioritize, and why? And does one need some computer science knowledge for the field of data science? So I'll begin with Ashwin.
So, of course, if you're an engineer, you typically tend to start using MATLAB at some point. Any engineering curriculum would, put your hands, you'll get your hands dirty with that. But now, we personally use a lot of Python. And, Python also, renders itself well to a lot of browser-based programming as well. So, essentially there are some applications called, Plotly Dash, where, you can convert, some of these Python codes into directly browser-based applications. So these are, in my opinion, a great way of, not just building something for yourself, but, sending folks links to what you build. Browser-based applications have their own, people really enjoy seeing some of these things as well, right? And then, if you are of the types who enjoys computations, I think I would also encourage folks to look at something called CUDA, which is essentially, GPU-based programming, trying to speed things up. What we are seeing now is essentially a whole lot of, computational power being derived, not just from, just the cores, but also the GPUs. So it turns out, CUDA offers a good, it's an NVIDIA kind of software that they have put up. It offers, novel ways to essentially write up the code and, essentially speed whatever you're trying to do, maybe over 100 times, right? And of course, Google has its own AI-based software that you can also try and, play around with essentially. So those are, some of the tools, but to get started, I would say Python might be a good way to start.
Great. So Logan?
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, I completely agree. Python or R are great languages to get started with, to get your feet wet and start just programming on some level. And I don't think you need a computer science degree at all to get started in Python, R, or other platforms, because there's so much information available online where you can follow YouTube tutorials, do different projects, challenges. Everything's out there and just available to consume. And then to talk a little bit about the tools that I used, I think it's better to go back to kind of when I was working as an engineer and data analyst at JetBlue. So my day-to-day, I used a lot of Python R. The other languages were a lot of SQL. And then I think the next really important area to focus on for data analysts, data scientists, is visualization tools. So using tools like Power BI, Tableau, so you can basically find a way to accurately represent your data. And I think both of those tools, Power BI, Tableau, are great starting tools to get started learning. So you can begin to visualize data, show how it looks. And also, if you get really good at them, you make beautiful reports that are understandable. They're very easy to share in your internship or at a company you're working with and get quick recognition for like, hey, this dashboard is really producing insights. It's easy to consume, easy to understand. And Tableau and Power BI are great tools to make that possible. And then I think kind of the other foundation that is important to learn and get started on is just SQL, so SQL programming. So with most databases you interact with in most jobs, you're going to have to know a basic level of SQL to just get data into Power BI, Tableau, CSV, Python script, however you're working with it. I think that's a good baseline. So you can begin querying data from different data warehouses, joining different data pieces together, and then you can clean it, parse it, and other tools like Python, visualize it in Power BI or Tableau. But I think SQL and then as well as those visualization tools are great places to get started that you can learn online and don't need a computer science background or any sort of formal education on to really get started.
Great, thanks, Logan. So moving on to our last pre-prepared question. So each panelist would have about 2 minutes each. So we would begin with Atena, then we'll move on to Logan, then Ashwin. So one question we get a lot is, how do I get started in this field if I have no background or experience with data science or software tools? So what advice would you give for anyone who wants to get it started? Sorry.
Well, actually, that's a common question because like a lot of people, like we are hearing that data science is a hot topic, is like a very well-paid job. Everyone wants to align themselves to the like job that they have some career path, they have some future, they have room to grow. It's understandable that like people have the fear of the field because basically it's everywhere. Everybody is talking about it, and it seems really impossible to get in when you don't have like the basic knowledge, or like your information or your knowledge or experience is not that great for the start. It's gonna be hard to get in. I'm gonna be honest with you, because when it comes to teams or people who are hiring data science, they are looking to fill specific positions, specific roles because there is a need for developing something. So what it will help people is that try to understand what is it you are good at to begin with. So maybe I'm looking at the questions. A lot of people are saying that we are good at like dashboard or reporting or like SQL, but we are not like that good in data science or modeling field. I would say try to get into the project which helps you to get to know the data way much better. So you know Tableau and dashboarding. So starting with data analysis position will help you a lot. But when you are in a company, you can continue your learning. You can start asking your manager to assign you or like help you like to open the room for you to work with some other people who are running data science project. And if that doesn't like it's not available for you, you can start picking up one of these like public data set, start building something. So when you start building something, the first question is that, okay, I have the public data set, what can I do with it? Find the business question, try to utilize Python, build something. And then after that, your next step would be, how can I automate the whole process? So when you go join a company, they want to know how much do you know about the public cloud. AWS services are providing a lot of like free trial in different services. You can utilize them to automate your work. How do you automate your work? You don't know it. Google it. Everything is available online. There are so many documents. If it's not on AWS, you can like use a Snowflake. amazing like resources over there. You can do it. Then the most important thing for people who want to get into the field is that they need to show their work that they are working towards a data science field. And for that, you need to have your GitHub repository available with the code, and you need to have your blog. In the blog, don't put all your codes, just put all the visualization and cool stuff you created, show your work beginning to the end, explain what you did, have the GitHub repository as a reference, and that's how you can show that you are progressing in the career of data science. Believe it, when it's in your resume, we see that. Like we go through your website or GitHub or like blog posts, we see what you are doing. We see a match, we call you. Yeah.
Thank you, Atena, for sharing. That's really helpful. So we move on to Logan.
Okay. I'd say the most important thing in getting started is just building up your personal projects that you've done and completed. And this might sound intimidating at first, like how am I get started finding a project? And I think there's a ton of resources online, like doing a Kaggle data science competition. So there's open data sets on Google that you can, or on, I guess Google owns Kaggle, but on Kaggle that you can import and start basically playing with, creating projects, entering them in competitions. You can slowly build your own kinds of repository of, hey, I built this dashboard for this. I was interested to track COVID-19 decrease in cases in my community. I built this dashboard. Or I found this public data set available from Airbnb, and I categorized and figured out basically what would help my friend whose Airbnb's apartment get the highest value on his listing. So for me, when I recruit and look for people that we're hiring in our data or other teams, my biggest go-to is, what have you built outside of your traditional just university? If someone has a 4.0 and hasn't really explored and done a data science project on their own time and really stepped out, I would hire someone with a lower GPA who basically took the initiative, built something, got started, versus that 4.0 person who might not have any projects or experience under the belt. Versus I think the hardest part in getting started is really just going out there, finding a problem or project to solve, and actually completing it, building a solution, making it functioning. And the other kind of like side point is, as you do those, beyond just boosting your resume, those are very equivalent to real world experience. Like if you build a dashboard in Power BI and then your first internship, they might ask you on the first day to build a dashboard in a similar tool. So I think just getting those projects under your belt will help you A, get jobs, B, succeed, and then 3, just learn. And I think those are kind of the most important things as you're beginning a data science journey.
Thank you, Logan. So we pass it on to Ashwin.
Yeah, I guess, Athena and Logan already covered, and I echo their sentiments here. I personally believe the best way to learn is to actually do. So, get yourself into a position where you're building something. You could be participating in a course. Maybe they have handed out a project, or within your department, or your high school. Look around, talk to these professors or teachers, and see if there are some ideas that they would like to explore. So working in teams actually can help. Finding a partner. I mean, we all know, right? I mean, having a partner helps at least in a lot of getting some physical activity done, right? So this could be one thing where you are working with someone, mutually exploring and keeping tabs on where is it that where we want to be, are we there, kind of stuff can happen. Working with a buddy can help, but more importantly, set yourself a goal. So it could be things like, maybe I want to build like a browser based tools that talks about, I don't know, maybe changing population in every country. Folks can select the country and it talks about what the population has been for the last 5 years. Is it increasing or decreasing? So that will push you towards essentially learning, now how do I create that, right? What tools do I use? How do I visualize it? And then, where do I find the data? How do I refine the data? So essentially quickly, with that goal, you suddenly have to resolve a few questions, and then you're going and trying to chase each of these questions. And as Athena said, there are just so many resources on the web where you can just type in a question, and there are multiple options that, so essentially, create those rabbit holes through which you can, essentially give yourself an opportunity to enter. And you will quickly see the world. And when you start organizing all of these different rabbit holes or whatever you've done into nice GitHub kind of a profile, your recruiter sees, but more importantly, it also comes with a sense of accomplishment, sense of pride, and that itself will put you apart when it comes to the job market, or who knows, maybe starting the next big company.
All right, thank you, Ashwin, and thank you to all the panelists for answering the questions I asked. So now I'll pass on the mic to Emily.
Hi, thank you everyone for answering all of those questions. I really appreciate all of your helpful and thoughtful answers. I certainly learned a lot within the past 30 minutes myself. So before we get into our Q&A session, I noticed that some of our attendees are putting some questions in the Q&A. Everyone feel free to do that. We'll have a Q&A session after I go through some of our resources and events that we host here at the NSDC. So these resources would be great for you to use if you want to learn or teach more about the world of data science. First, we have the Learner Central. Here you can learn data science at your own pace. Whether you are just getting started or you want to learn advanced tips and techniques, you can find resources here to help. So there are resources regarding data science ethics, the basics of data science, all the way up to computer programming. So like our attendees have mentioned, if you're looking to just get started with R, SQL, or Python, you can visit the Learner Central to get started or practice the skills that you have. Similarly, we have the Educator Central. Here, teachers can find a vast range of resources and materials to develop or broaden a data science program. You can find programs and resources here from many different institutions, including Columbia University, University of Rochester, Queensborough Community College, and more. You will also find data sets here to help create research projects or even practice questions for your students. We also have the video library, which has videos recorded by data science students using the IBM Open Data Science for All GitHub content, SQL and R educational materials created by student volunteers, and more. So you'll find videos from introductory courses all the way to machine learning and data science use cases here, so feel free to check that out. Next slide, please, Haley. Thank you. We also have free resources for chapter and career development. If you are wondering how to start your data science career, you may leverage the Career Central, where you will find the latest job listings, resume tips, and practice materials for interviews. We have our Chapter Central, which I will cover in our next slide. And we also have our Volunteer Central. The Northeast Big Data Innovation Hub has a program called the Real Volunteers, or Research Experience and Leadership Volunteers. The Real Volunteers is a group of students who donate their time and skills to content creation and development. We offer opportunities to facilitate online events, curate resources, and more, all while learning more about data science and its real-world applications. So if you are interested in joining that program, please apply on our website at nebigdatahub.org/NSDC. We would love to have you as a part of our community. Next slide, thank you. Our NSDC chapters extend the NSDC's mission of creating a community of support for its members, extending it through local community development initiatives for underserved and underrepresented communities and learners. We provide mentorship, research opportunities, and career opportunities to launch their data science journeys. The NSDC chapter system has 4 main objectives: education, community development, project-based collaboration, and internship and career opportunity enablement. We are working to create this supportive network for all data science learners and enthusiasts, no matter your background or your skill level. We've had interest in this program from over 45 students and professors spanning 15 states in the US and 2 foreign countries, Ghana and Ethiopia. So if you would like to join this great network and community yourself, please email us or visit our website at nebigdatahub.org/NSDC to fill out a very short interest form. We'd be ecstatic to have you join. Thank you. And one last program that I would like to mention is the NSDC's inaugural Data Science Symposium. So the NSDC DSS will provide a virtual forum for undergraduate and graduate students at private, public, and community colleges who are interested in data science to present their research, learn about academic research best practices, network with other data science students, and grow their data science knowledge and community. A participant may present research that has already been completed or may leverage the NSDC DSS program resources, including mentoring sessions and workshops to assist them in designing and completing a project. This is a very great way to get data science research exposure and experience presenting your findings. So as you can see, Haley is scrolling through the Data Science Symposium webpage now, and she will be able to show you the section on how to participate.
Thanks, Emily. So how to participate, you can see on our website here, if you just scroll down to the how to participate image, and through this kind of accordion style information, you can find more information on how to participate either as an NSDC Explorer. So if you want to present your research project on this platform, you can just follow these simple steps. The first step is to just click on this participation button, which will open up a short interest form for you to fill out. If you want to participate as a mentor, you can just go through this accordion information and click on this participation button to volunteer as a mentor, and like as mentioned, fill out a short interest form. And then if you want to participate as a judge for the data science career panel, you can see the following steps here under how to participate as an NSDC judge, and then fill out this short interest form, which is for step 1. So the website, which was amazingly curated and created by Emily, is a very straightforward kind of navigation of what the Data Science Symposium is about. You can find the key dates, the different themes for each research project and proposal, and more information about like FAQs, such as eligibility and resources. Okay. So now we are going to transition into our open Q&A session. We are going to kick this off actually with a live poll. So you all, the attendees, get to choose what question you want the panelists to ask next. And so you should have a poll open up on your platforms right now. The 3 questions are: what do you know now that you wish you knew during your time at school? What excites you most about the future of data science? And do you have any tips on how to start a business, create products to sell, or become a data science freelancer? And all these questions were curated with heavy consideration for the questions we got from our registrant pool. So I'm sure a lot of you on this panel registered for this event and posed a few questions during registration. So you get to pick which one you want answered. We have about, like a few seconds left, and I will just announce. Oh, okay. Well, it seems like the majority want to know what the panelists know now that they wish they knew during their time at school. So I pose this to all the panelists. Any one of you, Atena, Logan.
I can take that one.
Okay, perfect.
So to me, like when I was trying to switch over to the field of data science fully, because I was hybrid and I was like more of a very heavy technical person, the field was so vast. A lot of people in the field were new, and we had lots of people who were data scientists in the world, but most of them were statistical people. So for me, trying to understand which area and how can I merge fully to the field was a challenge. If you, 7 years ago, if you would ask me how do you define the day-to-day work of a data scientist, I wouldn't be able to clearly tell you what is it I need to do. If you would ask me, okay, now as a data scientist in a room, how do you start your conversation with business to understand and address their problem? I couldn't explain it because it was so vague. I didn't know which direction do I want to go. But if actually I could find my career advisor or people who were doing the real end-to-end AI work way much sooner, faster? Or in a simple word, if I was doing my networking way much more efficiently, my life would have been way much more easier when I wanted to merge.
Thank you, Atena, for sharing that. And I also think that that's a huge testament to what you mentioned earlier, just about the data science field, or data science in general, just always being an ever evolving, ever expanding kind of field for you to always learn and grow in new ways, in different ways, even ways that you wouldn't know before. So that's very insightful. Thank you.
I'd be able to add one thing on top of that. Okay. Yeah, the one thing I guess I wish I started with earlier and that I've been doing kind of now the last few years is just really never too early to start building out your network. So I think my senior year of college was the first time I really realized this, when I got to attend a conference through actually a program at my university. But at that conference, I met all kinds of leaders in different space. This really helped just to network, understand more about what jobs are out there, what I wanted to do. So I'd encourage everyone to, as much as you can, start attending events, whether they're data science meetups in your community, or maybe there's a conference that's just a few hours drives away related to data. A lot of times you can email the organizers, say, hey, I'm a student really interested in this. Do you have any free tickets available? And I had success with that, I think 2 or 3 times. And I'd encourage everyone to just try to begin building that network, because it could pay dividends later on when looking for a job, when you're trying to build your own startup, when you just need feedback or advice on a data science project you're doing.
Definitely. Thank you, Logan. Okay, so thank you both Logan and Atena for answering that question. That was super insightful and super helpful in terms of next steps that anyone can really take to learn more about, their experience with data early on. So now I'm going to pivot and introduce our 2 Q&A facilitators, Beatrice and Binyam. Beatrice and Binyam are real volunteers through the REAL program, as Emily mentioned earlier, and they will be posing questions from the live Q&A chat to the panelists in an open forum format. So any of the panelists can answer these questions that they pose. So I will start with Beatrice. Take it away.
Awesome. So our first question from the Q&A is, do you need a master's degree for a data science career?
Well, perhaps if you're looking job in a large corporation, that might help. If you are starting a company, I'm not sure, right? I mean, you just get on with things. But having a degree obviously helps. It helps you structure information. You have the credentials to back you. But it's not to say that a person with a degree is better than a person without a degree who's done multiple projects. So you can't really take that call. So different organizations function in different ways. I think, as Logan shared, he hardly looks at the degree. He looks at what skills that people have done. Have they gone up outside their comfort zones to really solve something? And that's true about all startups. So essentially, it really depends on where you want to fit yourself in.
Right. And yeah, I completely agree on Ashwin's point there. I think it depends a lot on the company you're interested in applying to and the role. So some companies do have requirements around, look, we're looking for data scientists with a PhD and 5 years of experience. But then there's also a ton of other opportunities out there that don't require that master's degree in data science. So I think if you look, you'll find that both lead you to different doors and different opportunities, but I don't think there's one right answer saying that master's degree is a requirement or a checkbox that needs to be hit. I think it matters more. What is your interest? Do you want to be more on the analytics side, or do you want to be closer to Atena, building the future of AI models that are changing the world? So kind of like depends on where you want to fit into the bucket.
Exactly. And I think that in some area, when it comes to the data science, a lot of them are research-based. Let's say that when you're using a lot of models which are built, they already exist. You call it like the package and you want to use it. Somebody built it, right? and like a lot of new like algorithm come to the market. So if you are one of those people who want to like move towards building something 100% new, like what Google researchers are doing, then definitely some like a level of like degree is required. But if you're more of an industry person and you want to do your like work, enjoy it, and you are not like very keen towards the research, then you don't need much of a degree. You need more experience.
One question to you, Athena. So, what kind of people does Accenture hire? So, do you need a master's degree?
We have like variety of people. We have like people like me, who hired as or hired as experienced hired in the field of the DS and ML. We have a group of consultants who are hired at with PhD degree, but they wanted to get in the industry. They had like a strong coding background and like some sort of like industry knowledge, like chemistry field. And then we have other group of people who are not that great, like niche skill set of the data science. So we hire them, we invest on them, we put them on different projects to help them to move towards to the next level. So we have variety of like levels for people to start their career with, but it's a consulting firm. So a lot of time when we are hiring people in the field of data science and the project is heavy on people who actually know in and out of that like AI field, we have to like divide their time into some like more feasible kind of a work rather than like setting them up for a total failure, because they need to take their time to actually build those skill set to move towards to the next level. But since we have so many projects, everything is available for them. Hope I answered your question.
Okay, I'll go next. And the second question is, when did you first know that you went data science to be your career?
That's a good question. So for me, I think I realized kind of when I was in kind of my earlier engineering classes, we had a little bit of MATLAB, a little bit of Python, and then a lot of stats class and industrial engineering. And then in my statistics classes, I really started enjoying as we were having bigger data and kind of more real world challenges. And that kind of initially piqued my interest in big data and data. And then from there, my university offered a few different classes where I could expand on that knowledge, and I started doing some projects outside. So I think initially I kind of realized in university in some of my classes there.
Ashwin?
Awesome. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
You know, in my case, I never really had a choice. I was doing research, right, on these aspects, but I was just fundamentally blown away by some of these models and, how quickly they could reduce some decision-making time. So for me, it was a pull towards, this decision-making, which in a parallel universe, which still exists in the industry, still takes a lot of time. So I saw that, disconnect, and that's when I realized, and it was also a little more personal for me. I just had my first daughter, and I was thinking to myself, look, the academic life is comfortable, travel around, in conferences, have those 4 people you present to, or, create something which, can a lot more people can kind of use. So to me, that was really the driver.
Nice, thank you. Atena, do you have anything to add?
I think for me, first, when I knew that like for 100% sure, I don't want to be a teacher or lecturer at university. I don't want to do the automation. I want to move 100% towards ML, like not doing anything else. So like the point that I said no to a lot of other projects and risk getting fired basically was around 2017, because before that I had hybrid role. I was data science and like business analyst, because the nature of the work was in a way that I had to define and understand the pattern in order to automate the whole process. And when you are working in finance, not necessarily a lot of automation are coming with ML. A lot of automation are if then else. So a lot of automation are the software engineering work. It was heavy on coding. It was heavy on like running a lot of like data manipulation. But I knew that I don't want to even touch that part of the work. So like raising your concern and talking about your idea that even if you pass that even like project to me, I'm not gonna touch it, even if you want to fire me. What happened 2017?
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Question is, was there ever a time when you felt unprepared for a role you were applying to, and how did
you handle that?
Yeah, I think it happens all the time, to be honest with you. So when you feel that unprepared, like when you apply for a job, a lot of time you see that, okay, I'm 60% match, why not? I'm gonna apply, see what will happen. And like sometimes out of blue, one of these, let's see what will happen, move forward, right? It always happens, but at some point you will survive. If this is your job, you want to do it. When you start your job, you have to have some sort of plan on how do you want to tackle it. There are something you know for sure, that's why they give you the job. And there are so many things which you don't know. When you know, it's okay, there's no problem on that part. But when it comes to you don't know, it depends on you. How do you want to like talk to people around you, seek for help, and set yourself for success rather than hide your insecurities. Don't talk about what you don't know. Don't seek help and then fail. So I think that the reaching out for help at the right time and talk about what you don't know clearly and seek for help is how you can tackle the second piece of your like lack of knowledge or experience.
And then I think around this topic of whether or not you're qualified, I think, of course, you have to apply to jobs that are in with like a relative range of your skill level. So if it says you need a PhD and 10 years of experience and you're in your second year of college, that's probably not the right fit for you. But on the flip side, I'd say a lot of kind of finding your first job, first internship, first role in data, I think a lot of it comes down to volume of applications and putting yourself out there. Because realistically, if you apply to only 2 companies, the chances of both of them, A, reviewing your application, B, offering you an interview, and because you're competing against a large pool of people for these jobs. So I always recommend that finding your first internship, first job is really just a volume game. So I'd recommend doing 5 applications a day, or try to set a goal of 100 and really put yourself out there, because ultimately the way a lot of companies work is they get a lot of applicants. They may not have time to read every single resume in detail. And if you only apply to 1 or 2 companies, you're not giving yourself a fair chance, where it may not have been your qualifications. Maybe they just saw someone else's resume sooner that they wanted to move on to the interview. So I'd say go beyond your comfort zone of what you think you can apply to, and apply to as many as possible that fit kind of in the realm of your skill level and what you'd like to do.
Okay, let me continue. And the first question is, what are the most important soft skills needed to land a data science analytics job?
The skill set, yeah, it's always the question. So I would say that depends on the job. Usually it's written in the job detail when you're applying, but the common thing is Python. And when it comes to the Python, if I want to break it down, you have to be really good at Python data frame, because that's how you can run your basic like analytics. And it's like based on R. So if you're good at R, I assume you know Python data frame. The other big thing these days is running SQL, because a lot of companies want to get their ad hoc data super fast. For you, how to run your SQL is really important. Just to give you an example, if you want to get a job at Facebook, well, mainly they ask you SQL question because that's how they are running their whole data on the product side. So these two are really important. Then when it comes to visualization, the big visualization tool these days is Tableau. I don't say necessarily learn Tableau because Tableau is like need licensing, but like any kind of visualization which helps you to show your work should help because even though you know Python, a lot of Python like plot libraries are not showing you very nice, cool, cute graph, which business people like. So it's better to use visualization to show your work way much better. Then after that, it comes to cloud. Why? Because people don't want you to build something which sits on your desktop. They want it to be useful. And that's not going to happen if you don't know cloud. So like learning one of these public cloud will be really helpful.
I think the other kind of area to touch on beyond the technical skills, I think you can always choose basically one or two platforms to get familiar with, build up some sort of profile. And I think the soft skills are also very important. So basically having good communication skills, solid email, business writing. When I first started my internship, the first feedback I got from my boss was, you need to make sure you're proofreading your emails more and use more formal language. And so that was kind of an awakening for me and a good learning experience. But I think communication and getting yourself out there in terms of presenting your data projects, how you're explaining it to non-technical people is just as important as building the technical skills as well.
Good point. And trying to essentially arrange whatever the results are in form of a story always helps. So just adding on to the communication bit, essentially, how do you create stories, right? I mean, and that's really the central point in selling yourself for any position.
Thank you.
Next, we have, will the field of data science become saturated in a couple of years?
My point of view of this is that data is continuing to grow. So there's going to be more data available for people to work with on different projects. And I think as data increases, there's going to be more problems to solve. So my mindset is more data, more problems, more opportunity out there.
I have a different take on it. I think so. If you just divide, some of these jobs, there are some practitioner jobs, there are some developer jobs. So what's going to happen is perhaps a lot of practitioner jobs, because of automation, are on the decrease. But there will be a lot more developer jobs out there where you will be applying, perhaps, or rather developing new algorithms, doing things in a much faster way. So essentially transitioning on towards a much more narrower focused area, or developing that as your core skills might also set you up for success.
Thank you.
Okay. Another question. Do you have any advice on becoming freelance data science? Thanks.
I personally haven't done any freelance data science work, but I have some friends who have had full-time jobs and picked up different freelancing projects on the side. And I think there's quite a few platforms out there to find projects and build up a portfolio. So the ones that I hire off of for Datalogz sometimes is using Fiverr or Upwork to find freelancers. So I think getting yourself out there, building a profile, and once you have some reviews and a portfolio of work, you can begin expanding your basically portfolio as a freelancer. And I think probably getting the first few clients is going to be the hardest part. But as soon as you get someone who's willing to refer you to more people, your freelancing or consulting business can just blossom and boom from there.
Thank you.
Awesome. So for the next question, it is, do you think that as a beginner in data science, should I also look into a niche study area besides data science, such as declaring a minor in finance or healthcare, since most of the panelists didn't start with data science as their major?
Well, I think it doesn't matter what your major in, because the data is in different industry. So like wherever there is a data, there is a need for a person to manipulate the data and answer some business questions. So I think a lot of questions in data science field is coming from business people, and people with the knowledge, business acumen, can answer those way much easier than those who are fully technical. So when you start your work as a data scientist, you realize that formulating the business question is the hardest part of the work most of the time, especially if you need to define some sort of like target variable for a lot of these classification algorithm. So like I would say that since the data is scattered around the industry, it doesn't matter if you're not coming from the data science background. As long as you have a good understanding of data and know how to manipulate it, you should be fine.
For this, I think ultimately you should just follow kind of what area you're interested in. So if you are interested in healthcare space and it makes sense to get a minor in pre-med, or if you're really interested in finance, touching something in the business school. So I think that's kind of a case-by-case basis. But if you know, for instance, you love this one industry, have always been interested in it, then at that point, it makes sense to maybe follow that career path. But I think it's going to be based ultimately on what you're kind of leaning towards and what you want to do, or what areas interest you. Because I don't think there's any like strict requirements of, in order to be a data scientist at a hospital or healthcare company, you need a software engineering CS degree plus a minor in healthcare, some topic. So I think if you do know which area you want to go into, it could help you set you apart from other candidates also applying for that job, because you've shown that, hey, this is what I really want to do, this is my interest. But I'd recommend it unless you want to basically kind of narrow your field down or have really interested in one area, then that's when it makes sense.
I think getting a minor is actually a strength. It's a strength. It will, essentially help you build bridges, see connections between different fields, open up opportunities. And so I definitely see that as a positive.
Thank you.
Okay, this one is asking for companies. The question is, what are the companies that are known for being startup jobs, say jobs that are willing to hire someone with potential and aptitude for the job and train them for the job?
So for that, I would say a lot of companies are hiring people at different level. So let's say that, like, I know for the fact finance companies like JP Morgan, Bank of America, and a lot of others are starting their recruiting process for the TAP analyst program from the, junior level all the way to senior, and those who are in graduate studies, like from the second year before they graduate. So they hire them for those programs, and like you have to always make sure that you're connected with those positions, which are like university based, and they join from university to big companies. You have to make sure that you're always in touch with your university career center, because that's how they recruit people. The other thing is that companies like IBM, Accenture, and a lot of others, big ones, they have this apprentice program. If you just search through their website, they have a lot of entry-level job for recent graduate universities. You can find them over there easily. And like, I think it's actually because there is a shortage of people who know coding in computer science field. And in analytical field, you can easily find entry level and like internship position. It's just you have to put yourself out there and make sure that everybody knows, at least people who are hiring know that you are available for certain positions.
Logan, I think.
Yeah, I guess I don't really want to list specific companies to go after, but I think in general, it's pretty common that a lot of companies do hire junior level people who they know they're building experience. So for instance, in my case, I got hired, my first job was at JetBlue, and I told them, I think on the final interview, look, I don't have any actual professional experience. I've done this, this, and this outside, but this would be my first real internship. And they're willing to take a risk on me because that was kind of the realm of the role they were recruiting. They want someone they can train and help get familiar with the area and the industry. So I think a lot of companies and internship programs are available. And if I had to list anything specifically, I think there is some opportunity out there at kind of later stage startups that have raised some sort of larger funding round where they're looking to expand their team and willing to work with people at all levels. If you can show that, hey, you have a skill set, their main goal is, look, we need problem solvers willing to jump in, go the extra mile, get started and go for it. So I'd encourage to look at some companies that are growing quickly and hiring quickly.
Just to build on what Logan said, so Angel List is a website, and it has a few positions that are listed out. Sometimes the founders give their email addresses. You might just want to email them and say, look, I'm available for the summer. If you have something interesting, I would love to take a dig at it. And you never know. A lot of these guys, including myself, we all need some help. It doesn't hurt if it's a learning experience, but also it's something that these companies are gaining.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Like a few times I've had people, students, different levels, just message me on LinkedIn and say, hey, I like what you're building at Datalogz. It interests me because of this. These are my skill set. Is there any fit? And when they show interest in my company, I'm like, wow, they've already gone the extra mile. So as soon as I have a role available that makes sense, that person's top of mind to talk to. So yeah, AngelList is good. And then I guess, Asha, I'm not sure if you think Crunchbase, kind of looking at the recent fundings, maybe that would be a good place to see startups that could be hiring or growing quickly. But yeah.
And also reaching out to these. So there are a lot of accelerator programs in almost every city. So maybe even sending them an email, whoever the coordinator is, saying that, look, I'm looking for an internship. Because accelerators have startups as a part of their group, right? And it might, you can set yourself out there, and who knows, essentially be a part of some team going forward. So yeah, it's I think in today's world, it's about trying to get out there, reach, and you don't even have to go anywhere. We have LinkedIn there now that you can just send messages, and so it's an equal playing field. And I hope we all get an opportunity to essentially reach out. That's the bottom line. Just reach out to people. You never know. People are always helpful. And if you start reaching out, and even if you see a position in a particular company, try to look for, essentially who works in that company, maybe through your network. And, so essentially reaching out always helps show the employer or the potential employer that, here's a guy trying to make an effort. So that's always welcome.
Thank you.
So the next question is, I'm a physics major with a minor in data science, and I've done research that uses. In what ways can one market a physics degree that will make it more employable?
You are a physicist, you can solve all problems.
Yeah, actually, most of the great developers are from physics majors. So I think you will not have any problem finding yourself a very good
You will not
paying
market
job.
yourself, just flaunt your degree.
Yeah, exactly. That's true.
I guess what I'm trying to say is, you understand how to structure a problem. You understand, what are the laws, what are the math behind it. So you can bring those skills back to data science is a tool. So, you can use those tools effectively to essentially make some conclusions. So, that's your selling point.
Thank you.
Okay. this one is also asking for an advice. It says any advice on how to get involved with data science relating to sustainability or social justice.
You mean the social justice as a field, you know, the area? Well, the only thing which comes to my mind is like look at the LinkedIn and find out who are the people like working on that field and try to connect with them and see if they have any opening or they can refer you to some companies. Other than that, like in job search, see like what can you find.
And then I guess I'd recommend, like, I just went on Kaggle real quick, which is the data science competition page, and search sustainability. And there's like 4 or 5 open projects already going on. So just, I'd say, get started, find a project that makes sense to you. There's going to be work available or different items that you can just jump in that may not require a long interview process, just to get started and go for it.
Awesome. So for our last question, we have, what is the biggest non-technical aspect of your day-to-day roles?
Well, I think dealing with people management, like skills, making sure that they are happy and the project is going well. It's not losing money. That's, I think, the biggest challenge, because day-to-day activity, it's like, it's a group work, it's a teamwork. So many people are involved in one project. So dealing with every little one problem which comes up, I think it's a skill. The other thing would be, you're always working with business, trying to solve one of the business questions. So how to interpret the result of your team and talk to business is really challenging, because a lot of time, like, you find something which is not matched with what business is telling you, but the data is not lying to you. So like, how to talk to them which they don't feel offended is another level of a skill set, I guess, in the field.
And I guess for me, it's a little bit different. So my day-to-day job, I'm not on the individual contributor role anymore as sort of a data analyst, data scientist. But now that I'm trying to found and build my company, Datalogz, I'd say the biggest kind of non-technical thing that I'm doing on a daily basis is sales. So I've transitioned a lot to meeting as many people as possible, trying to convince them why our product will help improve their data science workflow or data analyst workflow at their company, and why it's important to make a difference there. So I think going off that, I think those soft skills are really important to build. Like we talked a little bit earlier about presentations, how telling a data story can make a big difference. So I think those skills will ultimately really help people progress in their career.
Yeah, just taking a cue from Logan, so it's about communication. I guess that's the biggest non-technical, and you can't escape that. More than escape, I think you got to work to your advantage. Sometimes you're communicating with your team, as Atena said. Sometimes to your clients, as Logan said, and sometimes essentially guiding product development and giving them ideas within your team. So you suddenly find yourself thrown in these multiple positions of responsibility, and you got to be different with different people. So how are you going to be able to adapt that? And I think adaptability, communication, and I'm not saying you get there immediately. You learn on the way. Of course, many experiences that I can recall where I did a bad job at every instant, but you learn and you pick yourself up. And you brace yourself to do a little better the next time. So it's about looking around, learning, constantly learning, and as I said, communication and focusing on making people comfortable around you. So if you do that, I guess everyone would want you to either be a part of their team or perhaps use their product. So essentially, it's a win-win for everyone. So let's bringing people together. I think that's the other thing.
Well, thank you for your answers.
Yes, thank you so much, Ashwin, Logan, and Atena, for your enthusiasm and all your insights and information that you provided all of us, honestly, on this panel. There's a lot of key takeaways, at least for me, and I'm sure so many others on this panel event. So thank you so much for that. Really appreciate it. So I see that through this Q&A session, there's been a lot of questions that haven't been answered, but I just want to let you all know that, you know, your engagement has not gone unnoticed. You can continue connecting with us. The conversation doesn't stop here. You can join our Slack to continue engaging, asking questions, and connecting with this broader NSCC community through this link below with the Slack logo. You can also connect with us through different social medias like LinkedIn. You can just type in Northeast Big Data Innovation Hub to find us and connect. You can join us on Twitter at data_core, Instagram at any Big Data Hub, and YouTube, which will be provided with this, or it will have a recording of this event, so you can always come back to learn about what the panelists discussed and all the resources that we talked about throughout the event. So after this event, I expect you guys to watch out for a Zoom poll to just tell us about, you know, how you liked the event, you know, any pointers or tips that you want to improve the event, what you want to hear about in terms of data, any different industries that you want to learn from in terms of like data science and career development. And also I had to mention our mailing list. So you can, through this bit.ly over here to the left, you can join our mailing list to learn and be updated on our new coming events and opportunities through the NSCC. And if you have any questions, please email us at nscc@anybigdatahub.org. So this concludes our panel event. I want to give a special thanks to everyone that was included in the creation and execution of this event. First, our amazing panelists, Ashwin, Atena, and Logan, for being so transparent and open and very, very useful in terms of teaching us about all these data science resources, how to jumpstart our experience with data science and beyond, and just more, honestly, just really life lessons in terms of career development and personal growth as it pertains to data and beyond. So thank you all three so much for that. I want to give a special thanks to my co-moderator, Benji, for posing the questions and being a real integral part of this event, and the outreach team for designing this event. Last year, February, you know, they're the ones that jump-started the concept. So it's great that it can come to fruition so successfully. And also the facilitators, the real volunteers, Binyam and Beatrice for facilitating the Q&A, and also Daphne for writing our blog post for this event. Thank you all so much. You really are the glue to this event and the back end support. Finally, I want to give a special thanks to Emily for all her help with this event from start to finish, end-to-end commitment of making this event such a success. Our operations manager, Lauren, who's helped in every step of this event and other NSCC initiatives that we have shared with you all today. And our CEO and Executive Director, Florence Hudson, who provides unwavering support through all of this. This would not be a thing without any of you guys. So I really want to thank you all for your teamwork in creating this initiative. So the joint effort is very palpable, and I appreciate each and every one of you for making this such a success. So without further ado, Florence, do you have any departing words?
Yes, well, first of all, Haley, thank you for being here from the beginning. Haley is the face of the NSDC Data Science Career Panel. She was here when we were launched as a Northeast Student Data Corps, and then it grew so much we had to change it to a national one with international reach. And it's just wonderful how you lead us through all of these. Haley is a senior at Columbia University. When she started this effort with us, she was a junior. And now I told her if someone ever asks, can you create anything from scratch? She can say, yes, hold my milk. Yep, I can do that. And, we started from nothing and now have 2,000 members of this community. So you've done such a great job. We're very proud of you and very happy. And we're kind of sad you're graduating, but we're proud of you that you're going to graduate too. And Benji will be graduating as well. But I want to thank all the panelists. It's wonderful to get your advice. There have been so many great comments in the chat and the Q&A about how much value you provided today and how inspiring you all are. So thank you for taking the data science journey and sharing it with us. And thank you to Benji and Emily and Lauren and to our real volunteers. We're delighted to have you joining us from around the planet. Binyam, I think it might be midnight in Ethiopia. So God bless you for, joining us and our colleagues in Europe as well. So thank you, everyone. And Haley, I think that's it. Here we go. It's a wrap. And then we'll have one more in March, I think. We're going to have for Women's History Month, we're planning an all women panel. And so that should be a lot of fun. And then in April, it may be the last one before Haley and Benji graduate. So that'll be their going away party. So we'll have to have little streamers or something like that. We're very proud of them. And I think that's it. So thank you very much, as always, Haley and everybody.
Thank you, Florence.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Be safe. See you soon.